Good morning, fam. Concept of 360 when your freezer goes out. All right. Well, fam, this freezer has served its purpose, and so it went out on me. But here's an idea on the concept of 360. When your freezer goes out and everything is ruined in there, it's really not ruined because now you can make it out of compost, okay? So I'm going to take these old bags of food and everything and fish and everything and things I've grown from the garden that just didn't, the freezer went out. So I'm going to take this, instead of throwing it away and all this kind of stuff, it's going to be, in a few months, this will be organic soil. And here's the way I'm going to do it. I brought it out here. Now you probably can't do this in the city, but if you got a homestead and your freezer or something goes out, drag it out to the homestead, way out, in the pasture or somewhere. And I got a pile of mulch here. Let me get a better angle so you can kind of get a dimensional angle. I got it piled up here. And this is where I'll be getting my worms from too. But I'm going to take my shovels, buckets or whatever, and I'm going to put this and pile it after I take the stuff out of the plastic bag. Wear you some gloves, and then we'll just make it out of compost in a few months. And it'll take a few months, so take it out the pasture, put your mulch in it if you have some mulch, or even your cuttings or whatever, carving your greenery or whatever, and just put it in there, and nature will take care of it. But like I said, this is this concept of 360, so there's no waste. Yes, and it will also make a good compost bin or a worm bin. Oh yeah. All right, now here's another old freezer on the homestead. It's way back in the back there, so out of sight, out of mind. See, back in these woods. Okay. Now, on the concept of 360, this is another kind of a compost bin that I took old food scraps and put in here, and it's beginning to develop the soil. But here's another benefit from it. You see these grubs? Look. See these grubs? They make great fishing bait. These little grubs here. Let me see. You can see them crawling around. That makes great fishing bait. I know some of y'all, it's probably gross, but the fish love them. See there? Free worms. Y'all may want to call them maggots, but when you mix the compost with them, the wood chips, they get sort of a hard shell, kind of like a mealworm, and they make great fish bait. Great fish bait. They love them better than they do the red wigglers and the Canadian night crawlers. So you have all types, and it's for the free. Okay, and they'll always, as long as you put food in there, there's some eggs, there's some calcium for later on. But like I said, you don't use any of this in your garden at all. Of course not right now. It has to break down. It'll break that down into something like this. Here's another tub here. This is beginning to break down. It's not quite ready for the garden, but this is, okay? And see now, in this other tub, this is some good organic soil. See, it's broken down. There's old bones, but now this doesn't have any smell to it at all, okay? And it's pure gold. See how rich and black that is? Now that is ready for your garden, okay? And that was once all this. So, like I said, you'll always have worms. Concept of 360. The thing is, there's never waste. That's the point of the concept of 360. There's never waste. There was an old freezer that went out probably years ago, and you make a use for it. Now this is like mostly for homesteaders. You probably couldn't do this in the city, and so if you live in the country and you have the space, but you can produce your own soil. You produce your own soil and compost, and like for next spring or whatever, you'll be ready to plant your seeds in it. because it's very rich. You see the eggshells, has the calcium, and then your carbon materials and all that stuff. So, and this was all clippings and mulch and things like that. So, all right. All right, fam. Now that I'm finished with my compost bin, and I got my mulch in there, and I got my layers, and as the decomposition process begins, I'll show you how I done it. Okay, I took buckets. You know, I got, like I said, I have piles of mulch here. So I first, after I took all of the bags of Ziploc bags of food out that had spoiled, I put them in one of these pans, buckets in here, there, and so I took everything out, emptied it, and there was just water and stuff in the bottom. So I layered the first thing I did was layer 2 or 3 buckets of this mulch on the bottom of the freezer of the bin now, and then I put the fish and all that stuff, the veggies and everything. I layered it. Put one layer, then I put another layer, which takes about a couple of buckets, 2 or 3 buckets per layer, and spread it out, and did it again. So there's about three layers of the food that had spoiled, and so this is the final stage. There were a lot of flies here earlier as I was doing it, but it's done since settled down. So what I'll do now is I'll close this lid and let the process begin. I'm not going to open it. There's no point in opening it anymore for about a month or so, maybe in October sometime. And when I open it again, it should this would have settled probably a lot. It'll probably be 6 or 7 inches, down into the box. So I'm just gonna let nature do its thing. Like I said, let the decomposition process, let Mother Nature do her thing, and like I said, we won't use any of this until next spring anyway. But so I'll just after about a month or so, I'll come and I'll turn it. I'll turn it. I'll open it, let it get some air, and I'll turn it. But I'll just let it, nature take its course for about a month. All right, and that's how I make compost, and that's how you eliminate waste if your refrigerator or even if you're cleaning out your freezer, old freezer burn stuff that you had from something that says 2016 or something on it, So all right, thanks a lot. Bye bye.